I'd like to bring it back to the idea, the talk about discipline, and you've talked a lot about a lot of different forms of discipline. I'd like to hear you talk more about the distinction between correction and punishment.
Who? Okay.
Oh,
Take it away, Brandon.
wow, drummer Matt, thanks. Correction, it is what it is. You're going this way. I'm putting a guardrail here, not only for your safety, but for the benefit of you in the long run. Punishment is that moment where you look me dead in the eyes and you poured the grapes out. And it's just like, and again, reading through the Old Testament, there were several instances where God's people looked him dead in his face and said, I don't believe what you're telling me.
Right.
I don't believe that you have my best interest at heart. I don't believe that you're what. And the apostles did it themselves. What was that story in the boat when they're on the lake? Do you not care, God? Do you not care that we're drowning? And and Jesus had a strong response to that, and so strong that he commanded the waves, and they were confounded. Who is this dude that speaks to the waves? You know, he had a strong response to that. Correction is, again, that's the guardrail, and punishment is you look me dead in my face and you didn't believe what I said, that I had my best interest.
And I would say the same thing, just phrase it a little different. Is correction, you haven't messed all the way up yet.
Yeah.
Punishment, you have.
Yeah.
I might not be hearing things correctly because I don't know that either of you are, like, we have to talk through this.
Let's go.
So correction is you haven't messed all the way up.
Correction means you're heading down the wrong path right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you need. So here's what I would say. Aussie really wants to watch TV or get a snack or whatever it is. And I say no. And he starts to whine. Then I can go, bud, you have a choice right now. And here's your choice. You can either keep doing what you're doing and go to your room, or you can stop whining and you can go play with that truck over there and I'll come play with you. Or you can go do this, or you can do something. There's this idea of correction of you don't need to be doing what you're doing right now because you're not going to get what you want. If he continues to do it, I told you not to do this. I gave you your warning. I gave you some space here to learn. And you didn't make the right decision, so now you're done.
The punishment is the consequence.
Correct.
Of it. Yeah. Because I feel like we look at correction as being like, I think more to what you were saying, Brennan, this course correcting, this idea of presenting options to make a choice. And one of those options is the better choice. And then discipline is when that better choice is not taken.
Yes.
The road less traveled by is not taken. And then there's the consequence for that.
Unless you're my second son, then he takes that road all the time. Love him to death.
Doesn't love correction. Well, again, too, like I still, like I guess in my mind, view correction as part of like the choice has already been made. Like correcting like someone, a mistake's already happened to be corrected.
So remember earlier when we were talking about those intrusive thoughts? Like the intrusive thought is to keep screaming until I get what I want. And if he believes that is true, then he will continue to do that.
Yeah.
Well, that's and that's a principle when we went through like just sleep training, something as simple as that with Ruby, of being like we got this course called Taking Care of Babies. Shouts out to Tara. But she puts you as the parent in the perspective of the child and being like, so the child would rather you be holding them when they fall asleep. So if you lay them down, they're going to scream because they're not getting what they want. If you walk in there, light bulb goes off. I just hit the jackpot. It's kind of like the lottery. So
it's a dopamine rush.
And so no, it's like, okay, well, yelling at the top of my lungs got me what I wanted. Right. So I'll do it again. And then it might not be 5 minutes, it might not be 15 minutes, but I know if I yell long enough, they'll come in. Right. So she said, like in that course, they set up a very clear structure of you do not break the structure for your check-ins.
Sure.
So that you establish like, no matter what I yell, it's like they're not coming in any sooner, or the variations and changing. So you're removing the lottery thing of like, I know if I just do this behavior long enough, one of these times I'm going to hit the jackpot and mom is going to pick me up and sit me in the chair.
And so like that, I don't see as punishment. I see
that's
a
not punishment
correction.
at all.
Yeah.
Right. But that's where I would see like
I don't
the
even
difference.
think is that correction or is it just teaching?
So I'd like to revise my question to what is the difference between punishment and discipline?
Different question.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit clearer there. Maybe not any easier. Punishment and discipline, gentlemen.
Yeah. Discipline, again, you can build on that idea that we were already talking about. I think discipline is what they call, I spent 13 years in law enforcement, what they would call a course of conduct. It's a continual guardrail putting up. That's discipline. You can go this far and no further because it's in your best interest to keep on the path that you're on. So it's a course of conduct of correction. I guess it's multiple correction. That would be discipline. Multiple variations of correction depending on the state that you're in.
Google, just to throw out Google, talks about the difference between discipline and correction. And then it says, when it comes to correcting your child's misbehavior, there's a big difference between punishment and discipline. While punishment focuses on making a child suffer for breaking the rules, discipline is about teaching him or her how to make a better choice next time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that I agree with what Brennan said. If discipline is a continual thing, punishment is almost like an endpoint. Like, hey, if you go here, you're going to get here, right? But at the same time, I would also consider punishment a part of discipline, of like there are consequences to your actions, right? And you can only, like, if you bump up against, we use this example of guardrails, right? If you bump up against guardrails enough, but nothing ever actually happens to you, then you're going to keep
I was
bumping
just about
up
to say,
against them.
is discipline, what's the value of discipline if there is no punishment?
Yeah.
Does that?
They will call your bluff.
Yeah.
People will call your bluff in general, like not just kids, right? But I think that is where the switch has to come on of it's the same thing we were just talking about of like this follow through, right? Of like I can't let my sons call my bluff.
Yeah.
Because when I do, then there's not just,
and
like, to be completely clear, there's like an ego hit there of like, dang it, I didn't do that right. But
that's important though. Like, I hear what you're saying. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't apologize or admit that we're wrong to our children.
Absolutely.
Like that isn't like that's
100%.
a huge thing. If we can show, specifically, I would say boys, but I would even look at my daughter at times where it's like I do something wrong, and even if she doesn't understand, like at times I'd like lose like situations silly, but like raise my voice over something or like get frustrated by the grapes thing. And like, Ruby, why? And they go through it, and then I'll stop and be like, Ruby, like I don't, when you dump out your food, like that's was meant for you to eat. Now it's dirty. We have to clean it up and like go through it. And like I want her to understand that even if she's not processing it, I go through the process of like talking through why that's not a good behavior, why it impacts other people besides herself. And then I say, she doesn't fully know, but she knows when I speak to her differently. And I said, like, I'm so sorry that I lost my temper over that. That wasn't worth me flaking out like that over something stupid.
And see, even going back to Matt's question of the discipline versus punishment, I would also say that there's a very big difference between healthy punishment and unhealthy punishment.
Absolutely.
What's the difference?
Healthy punishment, I would say that there's an understanding there.
Yeah.
That there's an understanding of why this is happening.
Yeah.
There needs to be, like, there has to be a cause and effect.
Yeah. And there's also nothing that I personally gain from doing it. Yeah.
Correct. Whereas an unhealthy punishment, I would equate to abuse. Like, you're doing this for...
There's no understanding.
For what?
There's no...
Your kids don't even understand what they did, and you're gonna beat them? Like, this is silly, right? But if something is going to happen, whether it be all the way from, go sit in timeout to a spanking or whatever it may be, there has to be, hey, why is this happening right now? Tell me why this is happening right now. Because we've talked about this before, of where I have been in the process of disciplining Asi. And I go, why are you in timeout right now? And he goes, because I was screaming and because I was crying. And I had to go, no. Screaming, yes. I'm not mad at you because you're crying.
Yeah.
And you have to make
good
distinctions
Yeah,
between
absolutely.
what is wrong and what is right, and everywhere
I'm not mad
in
at you for
between.
being sad.
Right.
Yeah.
Like if something is wrong and you're hurt, you need to cry.
Sure.
And you need to know that that's okay so that we can come and help you. That's what we're here for. But if you're just whining and screaming because you didn't get what you want, whole different story.